Yo, this is a little late, but now it's time to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, once and always. Let's do it. I must have watched this 6 times, I think, including today, since it dropped last month. And I've been thinking about it. I've written a review about it, the link for which is in the description below of this video, should you feel inclined to read it. But I'm still thinking about it enough to want to watch it again. And it's time to now finally put that video out that I said I was going to do on this extended show / movie situation. I'm calling it a movie. I think if you look at it on Netflix, it is listed in the film category, so I'm calling it a film, and it's longer than the show's episodes used to be, which were about 20 minutes, I think, on the show. This is about just shy of an hour, and so based on those aspects, I'm labeling it. This is the movie, the latest movie in the Power Rangers film series. My overall thoughts, first of all, this is awesome. It's everything that I wanted it to be. Well, it's most of the things I wanted it to be. We'll say that. I do have a few problems with it, a few issues, but overall, it hits the beats that it needs to hit. I think for longtime fans like myself, fans who grew up with the original series, and I think it does the job it sets out to do. Before I really dig in, I want to first talk about these guys right here. Billy, the Blue Ranger, Zach, the Black Ranger. These two guys anchor the proceedings in a way that we really haven't seen in any of the previous films or the show, for that matter. Unless there was an episode that sort of centered around one of these two Rangers or any of the Rangers by themselves. For a long time now, I've always felt that there have been few Rangers that have been like the focal points of any Ranger team. So with Mighty Morphin, for a long time, I think you could the key, any one single Ranger that could be singled out would have to be Tommy, probably. So both from the Green Ranger saga, because he was the only Ranger that was different from the situation, and he started out as an enemy before he became a part of the team. And then again, when he returned as the White Ranger, he was now the new leader of the team. Prior to that, you had Jason, who was the Red Ranger, as the leader of the team. That was your anchor. Everyone else, even though they're vital parts of the team, they serve a role. They all play a role. Not one of them stands out from the other, unless it's Jason, who's calling out plays, essentially. He's calling out the plays for them to make, like calling out for Megazord power, or when he's out, when it's the team together, he's the one that says it's Morphin time. That's sort of it. But here you got these guys who are like the co-leads, and that is really cool to see, for a change. That historically they've been sort of secondary Rangers, and that they have only come to the forefront when a role that only they can occupy is needed by the team, and they have to step up and do that. Here, they're stepping up in a major way because there's no one else. they get to take the reins and lead the story in a way that is exciting. Off top, it feels fresh because they're the ones who are driving the action. I love that about it. I love that they're driving the action. Right from the opening sequence, you got that opening shot of Billy he's face down in the grass. You know it's serious immediately. And then he's got a busted lip. That's hecka serious. Like, you've never seen that on the show. You don't see bumps and bruises like that on the show. You know right away that just from that first shot, the first 30 seconds of this situation, you know it's decidedly more grown up. It's more serious. And that's what you're in for. But don't let that fool you. This is still a Power Rangers affair. Power Rangers in the most classic of ways and in the best of ways. It still has the cheese factor, which, as I mentioned in the Power Rangers movie video you may have seen, you want that. You want the cheese, you want all the corn, you want all that. But this one, with the movie, the original movie, there is a layer of weight that is not present in the show in the same way. This project has something more serious because now the Rangers are older, and this is made for people my age, and really, but it also hits the kid beat. Kids hit people who are younger, who are current fans of the current show of Power Rangers. You can still watch this. But what I was getting at originally was this is a reunion special, bringing back all the original Rangers. Those of us who know that the original Yellow Ranger, Trini, the actress who played her, she's no longer with us. She passed away, and so this is an attempt, really, it feels like, to honor that character and honor the actor who played her in a way that fans never really got to see. We never got to experience it before. So it feels like it feels delayed, but it feels right. It doesn't feel like it's too late. It feels like we finally got the chance to grieve along with the Rangers who've lost an original member, and so already you're dealing with something that is decidedly more adult, more weighty than anything you might have encountered on any of the shows. Because when somebody dies, when a character dies, that's major. And you're dealing with how to manage that. So you got grief going on, you got anger, you have all these sort of real grown-up emotions that we in real life have to grapple with all the time. And so it's refreshing to see the Power Rangers have to navigate this too. And that already makes it a much more emotionally resonant affair. In this story, you have Billy, who had tried to bring back Zordon, who has sacrificed himself for, if you know the show, he sacrificed himself for the Rangers. Billy tries to bring him back and mistakenly brings back Rita, the original villain of the original seasons of Power Rangers. Rita Repulsa is returned, and she is on a rampage. She's trying to get revenge. She's trying to ultimately, she's creating a time warp so she can go back in time and tell her younger self all the tools of the trade, tips and tricks, how to beat the Power Rangers before they are formed and before they foil her plans and stuff. So that's her plan. And the Rangers have to try to stop her. Billy, he's got a technology firm that he's formed that now houses the current command center, and that's where the Rangers are currently doing their work out of to execute their plans. And you have Billy as one anchor, and Zach, who was a congressman. He's still a Power Ranger, and he's coming back to help the team. And ultimately, he comes into care of Trini's daughter, and he's got to, watch over her in the wake of Trini's absence, Trini's death. And what's really cool about it, you get to see Zach and Billy be surrogate parents to this young Ranger, Ranger in the making, Min, who is Trini's daughter. And there's a real nice dynamic between the three of them and how they're negotiating that. And you really feel that these sort of sense of family in the team. And I think that it makes it that much more meaningful. This was a cool special. And I watched it with my boy. We watched it together when it came out. The first day it dropped, and we enjoyed it. It was everything we wanted it to be. It has great music. The fighting is cool. You get to see them in situations you hadn't really seen them in before. You get to see other Rangers from other eras, still within Mighty Morphin, but sort of that have come in after the original team. They had never been on the screen together at the same time. They've never interacted with each other at the same time. So it's cool to see that. That was pretty neat. My favorite aspects of it were, so two things. I like how much more emotional it is. I really like that. And I also like the morphing sequences in this. It's just that, especially that first one, when Billy first morphs, it gets you in. It puts you in the zone. And then when they all morph, the various times they do it, it's always tight. It's always cool. That's it. Also, I have to single out Walter Jones, because I think he really is probably the standout. Next to Billy, he's probably the standout of everyone in this film as far as how he embodies Zach, but also the emotion he brings and the humanity he brings to the character in this iteration. You really get to see him trying to connect with men and get her to understand the weight of what she's walking into in terms of Power Ranger business and how serious it is, how dangerous it is, and what it actually means to be a Ranger. And you get to see him really emote, and I really appreciated that. He really, he sank his teeth into the role and really made it. And it doesn't feel, for all the corn and the cheese that can be found in this film, he doesn't feel cheesy, especially in those moments when there are more emotional pieces that come up. So that excellent. It's just got so much stuff that's cool about it. Like I will say one thing. So I appreciated the fighting sequences a lot, especially it's cool to see Zach get down with hip hop keto and it feels more functional this time than it did in the show. Unless my memory is faulty, which it might be. I'm getting older, so I might not remember as clearly as I once did. But on the show, it always felt like he was dancing, and it looked cool, and he could fight at the same time. The dance moves were cool fight moves. Here, it feels like the dancing is happening, but it feels functional. Like he'll do a dance move, and it turns into a dodge at the same time someone's trying to punch him, and then he does another move, and it's like it feels more functional than it did before. And it's like the purest expression of hip hop keto that I can remember, and that was really awesome. Speaking of the fight sequences, the putties, I liked how much more aggressive they felt in this mess. They were like really like more raw. That said, I feel like they could have been even more aggressive. Like I mean, obviously there's a line. You don't want them snapping people's necks or stabbing people, whatever it is. But you want them to still be like they could jack you up, which I think you get a sense of that in this. But they almost felt like they were almost too easily destroyed. In the first season, first season, they felt like they were harder because they didn't you didn't hit a button and they just disappeared. You just fought them forever until you wore them down and then they disappeared. This is here it feels like they fight them for a little bit and then the putties explode into rocks and junk, which is a cool effect. Which it's cool. It's a new thing that we hadn't seen happen before. At least with the shows, we haven't seen that happen before, so it's cool. I would have liked to have had those fights last a little bit longer, and have them be just a tad bit more aggressive. That said, the level of aggression we get here is not what we saw in the show in the same way, and that's cool. They almost felt like they weren't as intentional with their moves in the show. They were, but they weren't. They would flitter about and kind of flitter to you, whatever. Here, they do that, but there's a little bit more intention with how they move. Like they intentionally go to grab people, throw people through walls, and throw people off railings, and there's much more decisive action on the part of the putties, and that was fun to see, and it was fun to see them actually trying to really trying to hurt people. They were really and then the Power Rangers came to try to stop them, and they had some really cool fights and stuff like this. That was nice. I liked that. I think the Megazord situation was cool. It was quick. It was a little bit, it was what it needed to be, I think, for this special. I would have liked, again, the Megazord situation, I would have liked to have been a little bit longer too. I wanted it to feel more like the Ivan Ooze fight in the original 1995 movie, where that felt like a struggle. The Power Rangers were not going to win that one. Without Haley's Comet, they would have gotten destroyed. So I wanted this one to feel like more of a challenge, and it didn't quite feel like that. But it was cool to see the Megazord, the original Megazord in action. And I appreciated especially the effects for this new Megazord, how they replicated the transformation process, like the entrances of each Zord and the transformation process of that. I liked how they really got it down. Like for they, because the original one looked, it was more practical. This one obviously is computer generated, but they didn't spare any. They didn't cut any corners. It looks like they for those of us who watched the original show, every tick, every move of the pieces, how it goes. So to see that, recreated here, it doesn't miss a beat. It feels maybe smoother, more polished or whatever it is, but it was darn good to see it. And it has all it has scratches on it. Like it's been worn, it's been used. It was cool. Writing wise, it's not Academy Award level writing, but I think story wise, in terms of how it was written, it does a good job. It does a solid job of maintaining its integrity. It does not undercut the characters. They did a good job with maintaining overall continuity with what things that people remember from the show, and things still had a logic to it that made some sense. And I appreciated that. And again, like I said, I appreciated the emotional core that ran through the story. And so in that way, the way it was written and how it was written to honor the original Yellow Ranger, that was really cool, because that was something, again, that I feel like it was necessary, needed to happen. You needed to have some kind of way to honor that character and honor the contribution of her energy to the original team. Rita, I'm sad that she was great to have her here. I'm sad that she was, you couldn't see her face. It was like, but if you're going to find a way to bring her back without another actor to play her, I guess you could do a whole lot worse. It was, ultimately though, it's a fun affair. If you're a Power Rangers fan, definitely watch it, and revel in the nostalgia. For me, I've watched it about 6 times now, and it's like a comfort film to watch. I put it on every now and again, and it reminds me of, simpler times, times that less complicated. So, yeah, I love it. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. And yeah, if you've stuck around for my Power Rangers gushing session, then thank you. And I'll be back with another review pretty soon. But meantime, I gotta go. So see you later. May the power protect you.